All right, so Friday news dump. It's holding this Tambo. It's Bobby Gomes. We got news on Darren Waller. We got news on Melvin Gordon. We've got some Tony Pollard. We got a million and a half things that we have to get to in this show in a very short amount of time. Also, Saber Sim. It's out, baby. If you checked it out already, you see how cool it is. Optimizer, projections, everything that you need. And it's 15% off an already discounted price with Saber Sim that gets you Run Pure Sports and the Showdown side and Run Pure Bets and Saber Sim's optimizer and projection system. So $190 a month. No. You get 15% off. And that brings it down to $127.50. Just our DFS content with Saber Sim is going to be $140 a month. So save the $13. Get the bet side too. Get Saber Sim. Our side, bet side, Showdown, Optimizer. It's awesome. Promo code SABER15, SABER 15 when you sign up to get the deal. Wonderful to be in the presence of one Bobby Gomes and a almost king of the beach, just looking handsome today. One Tambo up in Canada. Wonderful to see you, Tambo, and congrats for making everybody at Run Pure proud, man. Bringing it down, big hits for you. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Happy to be back with you boys. Appreciate all the support across the community. Like you said, if you're not in there yet, now is definitely the time to join. The Discord's always popping off. Lots of good things going on over at Run Pure. I'm excited about the Saber Sim thing as well, because when golf comes back around, I'll be doing a lot of PGA content. Bobby will be in there with me as well. We'll be able to get into it and go through that tool and do a little bit more tutorials, things like that once we get through sort of the football season and we're coming down through the final stretch. So yeah, it was really nice to get a big win for sure, Holden. Happy to be back with you guys though.
All right, my friend, let's get to Bobby Gomes here. Mr. Gomes, how are things going in the NFL and the NBA and in life? What do you want to get to here before we get into this news?
Great. Everything's good. I just want to congratulate Tambo. He's our king of the beach, whether it's first, second, he's our king of the beach. So there you go. Like
Bridesmaid at the beach was the best one I heard, my buddy Mike.
Like that.
So I think that was a good call. Queen and Prince and a couple others came out, but I thought Bridesmaid at the beach was a good way to put it. But this is different. This is like up Holden's alley where the bridesmaid actually came away like she still got a good bang at the wedding. She didn't have to get fully married, but she got a good bang. You know, that's Holden's style. He's looking for those bridesmaids often, I'm sure. So yeah, it was still a good hit. It was a really good payout structure in the end.
You know, it was funny. I was going to start the show and be like, hey, Queen of the Beach. And then I was like, no, it's Tambo. The guy just won a ton of money. Why be a dick? So anybody calling you Queen, I mean, this, you're bride, whatever. Did you get new earrings too? What's going on? Did you buy some diamond earrings or what?
You just never noticed them in the past. I guess I'm shining a little bit more on you right now.
Still rocking those, the rhinestone, right?
No cheap, no CZs over here. I can tell you that much. Real deal only, Holden.
All right, stud. Let's get into this. Bobby Gomes, Darren Waller's out. We went to Foster Moreau last week. Do we want to go back to Foster Moreau again this week against a surging Chiefs defense?
Yeah, Foster Moreau week last week was not too kind to Bob. Definitely not too kind.
No.
4K salary for Foster Moreau. I don't know if I'd have the most interest, but Hunter Renfrow there at 6'1", wherever he's priced, the way he's being targeted in this offense now that Ruggs out of like pretty much contention. I like him. I think Josh Jacobs has seen the most increased usage he's seen in the passing game. Maybe he's someone versus this lowly Chiefs run defense who could have some interest in. But that would be pretty much it for me on the Raiders side.
Tambo, what does this Waller news do for you? We already love Hunter Renfrow. Does it bump him up? And anybody else in this team you're interested in?
I'm actually thinking Hunter's getting a little bit too high in price. And I know that it's crazy. Watch him last week. It's like a mini Cooper Kupp for cheaper. They just target his ass all over the field. He's getting all the catches. Now I start to worry a little bit more about ceiling as we get through it. I wonder too about this sort of the tight end position. Go back. Foster Moreau was the one. He was 60% owned in King of the Beach. So it was tough to get around, but he made everything work. He was definitely a dud last week, but if you look at both the last 2 weeks, the amount of snaps he's out there, everything, the dropbacks, all of that's there. And if you look at tight end on this slate, still early, but you've got most people either paying up for like a Gronk, Kelsey, wanting to find the next Kittle from last week, or follow up on Gronk, who's just been doing it every week he's healthy, or they're going down. You see a lot of Austin Hooper, who I'm sure we'll talk about later. You're seeing guys go down to Uzoma, Cook, Dropping down to Gerald Everett, Dawson Knox is 5K. There's all this. Moreau at 4K might be an option there, especially if you're targeting that KC Las Vegas game in a stack. I just think he would be the guy to be a little bit different. And if people are going to be on Jacobs, you could talk about a leverage play as well.
Okay, let's move on to Bobby Gomes here. And we're going to go to Melvin Gordon. He is expected to play against Detroit, but there's a little wrinkle. Now we got Mike Boone in COVID protocol. And we're going to have to keep an eye on that because, okay, we're 50-50. We're back to that split with Javonte and Gordon. We don't know that right now, to be honest with you, Bobby Gomes. So let's just react to Melvin Gordon almost assuredly coming back and what that does to Javonte going forward.
Yeah, so Javonte was chalked previously. We haven't really got an update, so I would imagine he's going to come down a little bit with the Gordon news. Gordon's at 5'4", too, though. If he's going to be utilized versus Detroit Lions defense, like 5'4", Gordon hasn't been great, but he hasn't been terrible. Not the greatest options, in my opinion, on this slate. So if you're MMEing, I think you'd make a case for not playing both of these running backs together for the Broncos, but definitely having equity or exposure to one or the other. Obviously, I'd prefer Javonte. And I think the ownership kind of reflects how much the industry would prefer Javonte prior to Melvin Gordon being out. But even still, people are going to chase Javonte's 32 from last week or whatever he had. Did he have 30? He might have been the captain. I was looking at 32, but yeah, I don't know what he had exactly. He
went ballistic. Tambo, Melvin Gordon, Javonte, interest in either one of these guys this week? As I'm just telling you now, being, following the news with this team every day, I think it'll go back to being pretty close to a 50-50 touch split.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think I agree with you, and that's normally something I avoid. What I will say, at least that's interesting, I can't really say exactly where I'm at right now, but this stood out to me today quite a bit. I'm looking at props often and things like that. Right now, still, even factoring Gordon in, my book has Javonte Williams as the most likely on the slate to score 2 touchdowns. Even more than Fournette, even more than some of the Kamara. They're close. They're right there because obviously the offenses that they're in. But I just think that's interesting that they know that he could be there. And the other thing too, Holden, that you can think of is this. If you are going to go down this path, there's 2 ways. One, you could just try Javonte out. If this scares people now that Gordon's back and the ownership starts to slim down some, here's the thing. He could do more with 50% of touches than most running backs can. If you watch last week's game, damn, this guy is breaking some serious tackles and stuff out there that it doesn't look like many others are. We know this, but he'd have to break one. Maybe it's a 60-yard touchdown out of the gate. They decide to stick with the hot hand, roll him a little bit more. It's worth the risk, in my opinion, there. The other option is to avoid this situation altogether. I know my boy JT Hayes, our boy JT Hayes over here at Run Pure Sports, he really likes Jerry Jeudy. And he thinks that's a way, again, not talking about this injury news specifically, but where people are going to be deciding on that, how it relates to DFS, I think would be to leverage and go to a guy like Jeudy who, hey, this could be a 2 running back week on Draftkings where you just play a wide receiver in the flex. And Jeudy and these running backs are very similarly priced, where if Jeudy just ends up doing the work and it's not the running backs, that would be an absolute way to get different in your large field tournaments.
Tambo, I'll stay with you on this one. Alvin Kamara looking like he's going to be back. Just about 100% now. Mark Ingram is on the COVID list. Ty Montgomery is on the COVID list. We know that the production in the passing game with Kamara and Taysom Hill is not as much, but I mean, we're talking about nobody backing up Alvin Kamara. So how high can he be on your list?
Yeah, right now he's pretty high. We have to wait and see how this shakes out, though. Here's one of the things on the slate. Right now, it looks like Taysom ownership is going to be very high. I think some of it, from what he is, what he does, what he can do, and at that price. Some of it from last week where Minshew Mania got there and people are like, hey, I can just play a cheap quarterback against the Jets. It works every time because it worked last week, right? Let's go. That sort of thing. So Kamara at under 8K with the entire roll. I would personally love this. I don't know if we'll get there by the time all the steam settles on Sunday morning. Of course, you'll be able to be with us on the Off the Chalk show, then with Holden after that on the Wood show with Hoop and Big T. But I do think it's interesting that you've got this situation where every time we play DFS and we play Kamara in the past, when he's in a slam dunk spot, who comes in and takes it away? It's Taysom. What if we get the Taysom ownership finally, little less on Kamara because there's just a little bit of worry there, and he comes in and drops like 4 touchdowns on everybody? I personally would love that. I think there's some good secondary stacks that you could do in that game as well. Use him to jam in 3 touchdowns and use someone coming back later. We'll talk probably about the Elijah Moore news as well.
What do you think there, Bobby Gomes, with this Kamara situation?
Yeah, Kamara Taysom stack killed some of my best ball teams last season. And so it's tough to go back. But in the same right, people are going to go back, like Tyler said. Gardner Minshew killed this Jets team last week, going right back to Taysom. Maybe it's the Kamara week to vulture Taysom. Kamara's minus 175 to score. I don't mind Kamara under 8K, like Tambo talked about. Yeah, maybe when everyone goes to Taysom, you pivot to Kamara. I don't hate that play.
I just got some breaking news here. There is going to be no running back that you really know of that is going to play for the Lions this weekend.
Wow.
DeAndre Swift's already out, and now Jamal Williams is on the COVID list. I already bet the under this game. I'm feeling maybe I want to beat the book to this. I don't ever want to bet a team minus 10, but oh my God. Goff and no running backs against Denver. So let's talk about this, guys. We talked about the Broncos side. Bobby Gomes. Really, there's nothing to do with the Lions. Who benefits from this on the Lions? Is anybody, or is this just going to be a complete debacle?
So the final drive of the game last week, Jamal Williams wasn't in as the running back. They had an Igwebuike. I'm pretty sure his name was.
Uh-huh.
So maybe at 4K at the min, he sees that usage again. I don't know why they had him in, but they had him in for whatever reason. It wasn't Jamal Williams who was on the field. So maybe he's the one that's utilized and gets the bump. If he's min, his ownership's going to skyrocket, I would imagine, or not at least come up from where it was. It's just tough to gauge him as a player, but he was active in the passing game. You'd imagine with DK scoring, people might find some sort of value there, even though we've all never heard of him.
Yeah. I mean, Igwebuike had three touches last week. And then there's Jamar Jefferson. What do we want to do here, Tambo? Just completely avoid this and run the Denver defense out there no matter what?
Yeah, Denver D, or maybe our guy, the aforementioned JT Hayes, some guy named Amon-Ra St. Brown. Just go back to him and just pick up all those targets all day long. You had a bunch of them last week. Looked pretty good. So this is interesting news. I just had to go look it up. A lot of the guys that I follow, some of the sharper guys are saying, is it Jamar Jefferson time? So maybe that's the feel that he's the talent and the one that would come away with it. I don't know if that's true. Just sometimes when you're following some people that think that, it's a good way to be the first on it, but it'll be popular by the time Sunday gets here. So we'll wait and see. But Denver D, for sure, against Detroit, it's already Goff. I know that they just won, but that's probably like their Super Bowl. So now it's time to just get crushed. And I think this could be a good spot. Now you can go back, hold into maybe playing some of that Javonte, because they'll play him in the blowout, right? They'll let him do it early, get the blowout run too. So stack up the Denver D with Javonte and ship everything.
Don't get cocky, because Denver just seems to play down to their competition. But man, so they got Tracy Walker too. They're one of their safeties is on the list. Jamal Williams is on the list. Hawkinson's doubtful, and Swift is out. I mean, this was already a bad team. They
look bad. That's.
I mean, where's the Jared Goff interception prop? Because I'm gonna have to go look that up real quick. That's definitely coming. Okay, so that's amazing. Keenan Allen's officially been ruled out. Let's not talk about the Chargers yet, though, because I want to see if anything is brought up about Mike Williams before the end of that. So we'll definitely touch on that once again. Let's see here. We've got Ricky Seals-Jones practicing in full. We know Logan Thomas is out. Tambo, is Ricky Seals-Jones in the circle of trust?
No, but he could be in some of those stacks. If you want to go back to Heineke, Heineke really disappointed last week. The Raiders had their edge rushers back, guys like Max Crosby just coming in, destroying him. And I think here again is if you wanted to go this way, it could be a good spot to leverage up, because I know Gibson is going to be popular. So if you want to get a little bit different, for me though, I don't know if you got to go all the way. I was saying this to someone earlier today. If you're going to go Heineke, I think you can just go with Terry McLaurin and just do it that way. If you wanted to add a third piece, by all means, it works. And I know people, you have to do that. You have to, not necessarily when you got a cheap piece like Heineke already and you're going a little bit risky with it. Get him with Scary Terry, hope that he does all the work, and then pick up the pieces elsewhere. So probably not someone that I'll go to unless it's something, extremely large field, triple stack, maybe a few, but I prefer just him and Scary Terry.
A little triple stack action. Gotta love it.
Triple stack, run it back.
What is your thoughts on the Ricky Seals Jones here? And maybe Bobby, maybe you can just give me the rest of the Redskins, the Washington football team breakdown.
Yeah, so they're obviously playing in a high total game versus Dallas. I think Tambo kind of hit on it. Single stacking Heineke in the $15. You can make a case for like Seals Jones. McKissick is questionable. Do we have the actual ruling on McKissick if he's out?
He is questionable. That's all they said. Let me actually, you know what? I will dig that up right. He is questionable officially with the concussion.
Yeah, I'd honestly like McKissick in that game script. But I think my favorite, I played a lot of Heineke and McLaurin last week. I'm not afraid to go right back. Didn't do me as well as I thought it would last week, but yeah, I like Heineke, McLaurin stacks.
Okay. The next one would be the team they're playing. Tony Pollard is questionable. He tore his plantar fascia. They're waiting for the full tear. It's a weird injury, Bobby. But let's just say he doesn't play or he's extremely limited. Zeke is super cheap on FanDuel, and I know the knee is bothering him, but he's practicing in full. Do you see any Zeke ownership in the upcoming future of your DFS line?
If Pollard's out, people are going to play Zeke. Cheap on FanDuel, 7,300 on DK. On DK, I have my question marks about Zeke, but obviously the player, like running back, we had so much opportunity cost last week. I feel like this week that's not the case. It's one of the weaker positions. So, yeah, I feel like Zeke would definitely be someone you're considering if Pollard sits and even if he doesn't.
What do you want to do there, Tambo?
Yeah, I'll take some shots. 7,300, even on DraftKings. I think like most people would go. I think, we'll see how the week goes. Dak is already picking up a little bit of steam, I think, and some conversations around him. I can't decide if I want to use Zeke or Lamb as the run back, because both those guys seem sort of like the odd men out if you're going to use a Dallas guy to come back with and just get off of playing it with Dak. Or if you go with Dak, you can just play him with Lamb and skip out on the Zeke and running backs. But not super high on him, but I don't think – listen, even if Pollard was ruled out, I feel like he'll stay sort of tempered. He'll get ownership for sure, but I'm saying people they're going to fear going all the way in because of this news around the knee and situational stuff. So I think he'll still be in play regardless as lower owned guy at the running back position.
All right, let me see if there's any more running. Yeah, we got Tevin Coleman's out against the Saints. I don't think that really matters too much. We weren't looking at Ty Johnson or Austin Walter, were we, guys? We just kind of
no, I didn't even know who Walter was until I tried playing Ty Johnson a couple weeks ago, and then found out very quickly who he was. But not trying to go there in this Jets offense, that's for sure.
Well, Elijah is questionable if he's out. First of all, if he's in, do you play any Elijah this week, Elijah Moore? And if he's out, do you want to go anywhere else? I mean, to me, this is I don't want anything to do with this game in general. I think it's going to be horrible.
Yeah, usually if you're attacking Jets offensive weapons, you're probably in a bad position to begin with. So Elijah Moore has been very good when he's been in. So I guess you can make a case for him, but yeah, I'm not on any of these running backs. Maybe I'd consider Moore in large field stuff.
I like Moore. He's the guy I mentioned earlier. If he plays now, if he doesn't, I actually have a backup play that I like, and it's Crowder. I've liked Crowder. I always like Crowder. I just think he makes sense. He's always cheap enough. It's again on DraftKings scoring. He can pick up that 8 catches for 60 with no touchdown, and you're still not bad for the price. I just think across from Kamara in some of those like that mini stack, if you had Kamara just scoring 3 touchdowns and they got to pass the ball, I think he can make a lot of sense. And again, like Bobby said earlier, you don't have a lot of running backs to choose from. So I'm not really high on the Ty Johnson thing, because I think with the pool that we do have, while it's smaller than last week, you can just play 2 running backs and move on and pick a wide receiver for the flex. I think Moore has been playing great football. I like him. I know it sucks the quarterback that he's attached to, or the quarterbacks he's been attached to with that squad there, but I do think he's in play. And if he's not, I think you can go to Crowder for sure.
We do have official word. Kamara is going to play. So that's big. Still waiting on more news from the Chargers, but Brandon Staley says he expects Keenan Allen to be out. And then Mike Williams, who apparently is not vaccinated, he was just a close contact to Keenan Allen. He continues to test negative. So there is a chance that he's going to play, and there's a chance that Chris Harris is going to play too. So 2 very important pieces there. Bobby Gomes, let's say that Mike Williams is in and Mike Williams is out. How do we want to handle the Chargers offense this week?
Yeah, if he's in, I definitely have interest of Keenan not being there and him kind of – you would imagine he'd assume the role that he assumed previously at the beginning of the year, where he was kind of playing the X, and then it kind of switched back over to Keenan. And yeah, I don't mind him at 6K. I don't know how much I'm in a like they have a 26.5 implied team total versus the Giants. Giants pass T isn't great. Can the Giants keep up? Like, that's what I'd be worried about. But he is only 6,000, so he can definitely get it done at that price tag.
Tambo, what do you think? Do you think we could be in for a Guyton chalk? Could we be in for some Josh Palmer, maybe Parmalee, Cook? Who on the Chargers would you want to target against the Giants?
For the cheaper guys, I actually like Palmer. I think if people are chasing Guyton from last week, and I think also too with now the official news that Allen's out, like you said and started with, you've got easy to put the attention over to Mike Williams. I have a strong feeling Mike Williams will play. I think we'll have to wait and see, obviously, but I do think he will. And if he does, I actually like Palmer a little bit more because then I think the attention can just shift over. Palmer's 3K. So that to me is a good spot to be in. Like I said, we've got enough running backs in that 5 to 7.9K range that you can find some and just pick a cheap receiver to make everything else work this week instead of a cheap quarterback or a cheap running back. I think people will target this Detroit situation now at running back. We'll see where my thoughts are on that come Sunday once I dig into this Godwin fella and Jamar Johnson and figure out exactly if there's any opportunity there. Sounds like Godwin, just reading a little bit more as we were recording, could be a little bit more of the pass catcher. So maybe that works because they'll be down so much. But again, I don't think you have to go there. The other thing is Eckler. I just saw it posted in the chat. I was about to speak on that. That's the next part. I think, even if people get going to a higher price running back, it's going to be the steam picking up on Kamara, who we've been talking about this whole time, where I could see it definitely going to a guy like Eckler at 8,300. He's just, I talk about Best Buy pricing all the time. He's just too much. He's a little bit more. They like that 7,900, less than 8,000 on Kamara. Spend that extra $400 oftentimes on the TV, on everything in life. You'll oftentimes get just a little bit better quality when you pay up. So there's a possibility with Eckler that you could have a pretty good game out of him here. And I think he's fine, even with the Chargers defense going out there, just roughing him up. And then Eckler just keeps running him in, getting his checkdowns, things like that. So I do like Eckler as well at 8,300.
Okay. And the last thing I'll say about the Chargers, we do pay attention to offensive line and defensive injuries. It's not just the skill positions that have the impact on DFS. Chargers defensive lineman Linval Joseph, he is off the injury report. Yes, the Chargers run defense is a complete debacle, but when Joseph is back in there, they are a bit more competitive. So if you're thinking, oh, Saquon's running for 100 or Saquon's getting me 60 points this week, just know Linval's back. So they're still going to be a little depleted on that defensive line, but I think that's a big injury. Bobby Gomes, Joe Burrow, looking good to go despite the hand injury. T. Higgins, ankle, expected to play. Joe Mixon, sick. Zach Taylor says he expects Mixon to play. Thoughts overall on this Cincinnati offense this week?
Yeah, I don't mind Burrow. If we get that news late, I really like Chase for tournaments, but T. Higgins obviously has been playing really well. I think I'd prefer Chase. Burrow, I think, is fine versus San Francisco. The news on the San Francisco side, I think, is interesting with Debo. Really like Debo at 8K, especially if that news comes in late. It's going to be stuff people aren't going to play him, and he's just super utilized in that offense. So, yeah, it's pretty much where I'm looking in that game.
You want any of these guys, Tambo?
I think it's going to be more of a secondary stack here. Bobby mentioned one of them. Feels like I'm chasing Chase now, even though I'm not chasing a big game. I'm chasing a dropped 70-yard touchdown. But man, just seems to be no reason to not go back to him. If Burrow is going to be okay, look, we just watched this Thursday night football game where Dalvin Cook was, he's coming off a shoulder thing. It's only 11 days. He's in a harness. Well, he unstrapped the harness and ran for 220 and 2 touchdowns. I don't know if you need to worry about these things. It's like, if they play, stop worrying about, I don't know why they're not sitting him when they have a bye coming up, and all these factors just seems like if they're good to go, they're good to go. I thought OBJ was dead a couple weeks ago, carrying himself back on the field. And next thing you know, last week, they're running a 1-yard flip to him where he's doing a backflip catch almost to catch at the end zone. So if these guys are healthy, I think they're in play, but I do prefer secondary stacks, Ayuk and Chase, or one of those San Francisco running backs, which may be a good segue if we're talking about those guys, because that's hard to figure out, but we got to see sort of so many the if, but, then this we do with the Elijah Mitchell news. So I don't know where you're going next, Holden, but you always seem to have a good feel on that San Francisco backfield.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. I just got the news that I wanted to get, though. Mike Williams and Chris Harris Jr. continuing to test negative. Brandon Staley says they're in line to be activated in time for Sunday's game against the Giants if they pop negative one more time. So let's go back through the Chargers real quick. It's cool we do this show because usually all the announcements are out, or we'll get the injury reports while we're doing this show. So back to you, Tambo. Mike Williams. So if Keenan's out and we have Mike Williams in there, then what do we want to do with this offense? Is Mike Williams like just throw him in there?
No, I'm going to hold my stance. I said I was expecting this news anyway. Like, this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. I prefer him to be back in for the plays that I like in Josh Palmer and in Eckler, because I just think they've got to put attention to him now with no Keenan Allen. And Guyton, last week had himself a big game, but we've been waiting for that game to happen too. And usually happens once or twice a year. So I don't know if we'll see that again. It could be almost like the Foster Moreau from the week before, where he had a bunch of catches and a touchdown and then flopped. I could see that with Guyton here, and I like the Palmer play at 3,000 even.
Bobby, does that change anything for you? Mike Williams looking like he's heading toward playing?
Not really. I think it bumps. Like, we got the Kamara news just at the same time, and like Tambo kind of hit on, people are going to go to Kamara, and I think it opens up more for Eckler that we know Keenan's out, and maybe people flock to Mike, and you just play Eckler.
Let's get the 49ers. Now, the injury report has not officially been dropped, but Deebo Samuel is trending toward returning this week. Eli Mitchell has not practiced this week, and it looks like he's down, so maybe Hasty's the pickup here. Bobby Gomes, if Deebo Samuel is active, is he in the mix? And do you trust the second or third string running back on the Niners this week?
I like Deebo. I just got to figure out the groin injury. At 8K, everything kind of runs through him. If he's playing and there's no run, if Eli Mitchell doesn't play, like Sermon and Hasty are obviously going to be guys that you have to consider. But if Deebo plays, both him and Ayuk probably see some carries out of that backfield. Kyle Shanahan likes to do it that way. So I don't know. In terms of I probably prefer, I guess, Hasty, but I in terms of 49ers running backs, as of right now, I don't really. Maybe Tambo has a better idea.
Come on, Tambo, give us some Niners love here.
I wish I had a better idea. This is the worst. I hate it. It's an absolute disaster. I was trying to pass it from previous because it's so tough to figure out. Like, usually when Eli Mitchell's out, and I saw you retweeted it earlier, Holden, you guys should always follow Holden for that stuff. He's on the news as fast as anybody. He's almost like his own beat reporter for me.
At Holden
Radio.
I can
just see him flip it out there. Yeah, there you go. Take it in, plug it. But I was going to say, when Eli Mitchell has not been there, it's been the Deebo show. They're running end around. Remember the one game? It was like he did all the work as a running back. He did nothing as a wide receiver. And it was like if he had have actually caught passes, he can throw passes too. So who knows what they're doing with Deebo? But then you got to worry about the injury. And you mentioned it with Hasty, with Jeff Wilson. See what's going on with those guys. Sermon, Ayuk, all these other guys. It's tough, but it almost feels like sometimes with these tougher situations, that's where you can sort of find the gem or the diamond in the rough if you can put the rest of it together. So I'm interested. But it's more of we'll have to wait on this news and see how far it goes along. If it's Mitchell out, Deebo in, got to take some chances with Deebo because they just like to run that offense through him. And it won't feel great at the price tag and the injury stuff, but I think you have to take some shots because others probably won't.
I hate lower body injuries, but my God, that guy's something else. Like, he might be the exception to the rule. We'll find out. We'll find out as we get closer to game time. I don't think it matters. I'm just going to bring two more things up here, and you guys can react to them as you like. Julio Jones, in all likelihood, coming back to the Titans. And then Harrison Bryant is out for the Browns against the Ravens. You're like, who gives a shit? Well, Njoku is on the COVID list. You got a team that throws the tight end almost 31% of the time, and Austin Hooper is going to be their only healthy tight end. So, guys, can I offer you can I get you some Austin Hooper or Julio Jones? Tambo.
Man, you can't be a baller unless you're a Hooper to start with. So I certainly like Austin Hooper. I like this matchup. I like the secondary stack here. You can do, I think for me, it's Hollywood Brown, Marquise on the other side. We got a division game. I like using him. Rashad Bateman barely even saw snaps last week. So I think they're just comfortable to stick with what they've got. And where most would probably go to Andrews. Andrews sort of dropped the game for them at the end on that 2-point conversion. That was the shot. It wasn't really a bad throw. It was a bad drop. So I think that you could see Marquise Brown have a good game here. And I like the little secondary stack with Hooper. The other guy you could use in this mix with Hooper would be Devontae Freeman. He's sort of become a thing now for the Ravens, just a cheap way to be a little bit different in large field tournaments and get yourself some more correlation into your large field lineups.
Yeah, I'm interested in the Hooper side of things. What do we got here, Bobby Gomes? Give me some Julio or Hooper news.
Yeah, Julio, I just haven't been on. I guess you could make a case if A.J. Brown's still on injury reserve to play Julio. He's just really dusty, in my opinion. Hooper, yeah, I like the secondary stat call. It's going to be between Hooper and James O'Shaughnessy is probably the cash game tight end, whoever is the better props, I would imagine. But James O'Shaughnessy is 2.9, so people might just play James O'Shaughnessy. I'm usually Xing the cheap tight ends. I didn't last week. I kind of wish I had. So bad taste in my mouth from cheap tight ends. But yeah, I had everything. I had Justin Jefferson, Sony had everything. Then I just Foster Moreau, sinking lineups. But yeah, I don't know. 3-4 for Hooper. I guess he's fine. You said it. They throw the tight end a bunch. So I don't know. Yeah, secondary stacks. Tambo hit on it. Hollywood Brown.
I was going to say about Julio real quick because I don't think he'll hurt you. Like, I just don't see a spot. He won't get enough ownership no matter what. He, like, even if he somehow had this crazy turn back the clock game and dropped like 40 DK points, I don't think enough people will have him in the right lineups. Although we've seen games this season, Bobby, reviewing Millie Makers together where it's been like Cup 50 point or 40 points or whatever, not even on the Millie Maker winner lineup, things like that. So would Julio really bury you? I don't know. Holden, I'm not to take over the show here. I want to ask you though, because we're limited time, but did you see, I think I saw DK Metcalf miss 2 practices. William and Chat said DK lock against Houston. I saw today, it scared me. I think he missed another practice, or is he back?
Yeah, I'm waiting on the practice report there too, because that's just a later game or a later team being out there on the West Coast. So the thing I see on him, and I do have there, let me see here. They don't have him really for the game. So they've got Jamal Adams, Fuller, Shell, and Homer are out. I think he's good to go. I'm not seeing anything here. No,
I think it was
injury
Wednesday,
designation.
Thursday was the 2 practices he missed.
No injury designation. He's fine.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Good to go.
Okay. Just want to make sure after the 2 missed, but he's been in the doghouse a little bit too. I like him though for some, some flip regression here because you've got the spot where it's just been the Metcalf show. And I like Metcalf's yardage prop. He can catch it on one play, but I think if they get back to Metcalf and doing their thing, we're talking 100 yards and 2 touchdowns and not just a big catch here, a target there in the second half randomly after not going to him for the entire first half.
All right. Elijah Mitchell is officially out though. He is officially out. So good luck digging into that. We'll see if
Do we have Debo news there?
Huh?
Do we have Debo news there?
Officially questionable. So that's good. Like he's looking like he's going to play at least.
You think so?
At this point, I mean, unless he has a setback, right? He didn't practice all week. There's video of him warming up. He's skipping around. I mean,
I feel like he's ready to go.
I thought if he wasn't going to play, he'd be doubtful today.
Let's hope they keep the Q tag on him.
Yeah, they kept the question. I mean, they have to basically at this point.
Yeah.
Because he didn't practice this week. They don't want to get in trouble. But that's some pretty big 49ers news right there, just so you know. And yeah, I mean, follow all our guys on Twitter. Tambo, how do they find you on Twitter, man?
At Toe Tag and Tambo.
Toe Tag and Tambo. Bobby Gomes?
At Bobby Gomes DFS.
Very easy. And I'm at Holden Radio. So still waiting for a couple of, and you know what? I don't think we are waiting for bits of news now. The only thing I want to find out from Shanahan, and he's talking, is about his backfield at this point. Like, would he even give us a hint? Is it going to be, is Hasty the guy that's going to be there? I don't know. But I think you guys brought up the point. Let me see here. Looks like with Elijah Mitchell being out, Jeff Wilson is likely to see a lot of action.
Yeah, I'm seeing Wilson in some optimals or did earlier, so I understand why.
Any interest there, guys?
I would have interest.
Like I said earlier, I do. Especially now that it's officially out. Like I said, I'll mix and match. I'll probably only play one or the other. Not use Debo and Wilson or the same, or Wilson and Hasty and stack it all the way up. I think if you're going Hasty, it's like if you want to go off of Wilson, if that's what the news comes out, you could go Hasty. But if you went Hasty, I would pair it with the San Francisco D and hope that it's like Wilson didn't end up mattering. Hasty came in and took over, made a few plays, and then they smashed. And so they just kept running them out. And so you'd be able just to keep rolling with it. That's the sort of thought I have on that, but I definitely have interest.
Okay. So it'd be Wilson over Hasty at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Shanahan does like going with one back. Don't forget about that. Like there might be 3 back there, but he'd run Elijah out there. He runs Hasty out there. He runs Wilson. He likes to run one back.
It's just sometimes the one back is Debo Samuel. And that's the problem.
You know
that's what you have to figure out.
Fine point, my man. That's
imagine. So this scenario, we've talked about this all show, tying it into DFS. Imagine you get to your flex spot. You've got 8,000 left and you see Kamara's name sitting right there. But for that extra 100 you've got right ready to shoot, you could play Debo and Debo beats Kamara and just smashes. We've talked about using 2 running backs and a flex that's a wide receiver or something. I think that could definitely be a possibility this week for sure.
The longer that Q tag stays on Debo, the more Debo I'll likely have.
Yeah, he's so good.
It looks like he's going to end up playing. Yeah. Shanahan says full half speed practice. He's able to do everything. So
that's fine. We're good. We're good then. We know what's going on. We got everything out that we needed to. Make sure you follow us again on Twitter. Those guys, I'm at Holden Radio, throwing out news. And then Tambo, AP, JT Hayes was at 8:45 Eastern, followed by me, Big T and Hoop. And then we do the final countdown, our premium show. And that is leading you right up to lock. JSU, the best in the business, doing that for you. And JJ from the bet side jumps on. And then, I'll throw out a play or two and things will go wonderfully. And that'll be great. One more time. The code this week is SABER15, SABER 15, the number 15. And what it is a great optimizer and projection system. The guys have been raving about it. Big T, Rubio Dimes, all you guys have just been raving about Saber Sim. I'm slow, so I'll probably get around to it about 2025, which will be nice. 15% off. You get Run Pure Sports Showdown, Run Pure Bets, and the optimizer. Normally $190, now just $127.50. Normally $190 for $127.50, all 3 sites and SaberSim. It's spectacular. The code is SABER15. Bobby Gomes, wonderful to see you. Tambo, wonderful to see you. Congratulations again. Helmet, thanks for taking care of this. I'm Holden. We got the Hardwood Show coming up soon. Get us out of here, Helmet.